So it seems it's time to start. So my name is Eugene Sivokon. I'm from Russia. It's my first visit here. So my session is called Effective Team Building for Extensions Development. Well, I'm a founder of NorNext company, which includes nornext.com and northemes.com. It's extension and template clubs. We decided to separate it and to spread the word about such clubs as a separated products. The third club is around theme.com, which is experimental club too. So, I work as a team and project manager, and I'm happy to speak today with my presentation. I hope to share my experience how to build Joomla extensions effectively and work with a team. Well, the purpose of this session, professional extension development requires communication with the rest of the team. I mean, it's impossible to create a good product just as a single developer. And if you want to reach a good result, you need to work with a team. And this is the goal, how to work with a team, how to create a team, which problems can be appeared and how to solve it. So we will talk about it during this time. Well, what to start? Which kind of goals? You have already a club, or you work with co-workers or colleagues, and you want to spread the word and first to develop your extension. Before do that, you must explore the market, to research, to find better and worse places, and you should examine existing extensions and just to write a specification of your own one. And we must to begin from so-called SWOT analysis. It's kind of abbreviature. I mean, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So first of all, you must collect information about existing extensions, as I have told before, and trace strengths, which benefits existed extensions already have got. Weaknesses, which kind of functional and features are out of such extensions. So you just will write notes about it. Soon it will be useful for your specification. Opportunities. It's kind of things, for instance, you just need to think about new features which still not released yet in any existing products. And threats, it means, for instance, you want to create, let it be a gallery or maybe some specific product, but it's not useful for you to invest your time and money in developing a product which is out of interest. So it will be wrong investment, because time is money. So, and it's not hobby if you want to work with a team. Well, preparing the roadmap. When SWOT analysis is done, you more or less understand which kind of features you want to release with your team. And it's time to prepare a roadmap. So, it's not specifications yet, but you must indicate the next roadmap for yourself. And of course, you cannot release all features in one version, because it will require a lot of time for you and for your team too. So just imagine you will work on one extension during 1 year, nobody knows about your activity. It's bad. It's better to start from the beginning and soon to add more features, more functional during your work. So And the roadmap is a solution just for yourself and for users to understand what to expect, what to release. It's useful for both sides, for you and for end users. Well, the interesting moment, specifications. Before you start to work with a team, you should understand which kind of features must be released, which co-workers should be added to the project. You must work with different specialists, and the specifications will help you to understand this. For instance, it can be not only developer, you also can need help of designer, or maybe another specialist, or maybe you must attract several programmers. So specifications, it's just a must-have document for you to control what the team is doing and what you are expecting from them. Soon you will write specifications for every person involved in the project. Well, sorry, water, magic water. Part 2, infrastructure and workflow. Well, it's all good what I just been said, but to start a real work you need infrastructure. I mean, you need, first of all, you need to create working polygons. It's kind of online website where you can see what's happening, how the progress is going, and you must care about, of course, backups, since something can be done wrong and you must restore the result of previous work, yesterday backup, things like that. Especially if you work on different projects, you need more polygons. So, server-side installation, what does it mean? It's tools for work, like team management software, or maybe version control program, things like that. So, of course, you can use external resources like different tools, online tools, to control the project. But my advice, to be independent from any third-party tool. So it's better to keep everything on your server, because of the responsibility, because of the security and things like that. That's very important. So, and of course you will need help of system administrator to help to build the infrastructure for the next extension development. Well, task manager software is perhaps one of the most important tools for you to control the processes, and of course, when the specification is done, you will need to separate each task and submit each task to, sorry, repeating. You must submit tasks to each coworker, to each person involved in the project. You cannot just give the team the specification and awaiting the result. As a team manager, you must control all the processes. To talk to any person, to discuss about problems, and of course to manage everything. Well, as well as it's very important to control milestones, because timeline, deadline, it's your money. If it's out of my session to discuss how to pay to your co-workers and things like that, but as we understand, it's impossible to work on such project as a hobby if you work with a team, since people should be motivated, and money is the best motivation. So, if you pay money to your team, you also must control milestones, deadlines, and it's very important. So task manager will help you to manage the processes, to see what's happening, to see the progress, see dates, deadlines, things like that. It's important. Well, version control software. I mentioned about it a little bit later. So if you create an extension, it's not a typical website for a client, because your team is working on functional, on features. And of course, if you also work with several programmers, they must work the same time on the product and do not disturb each other. So, and they also must see which changes were recently made. And version control software is just must-have for programmers. It's kind of environment, that's correct. And there are several such solutions. One of the products is known as Git. It's GitHub, online third-party tool. But my advice is to install and use GitLab. It's the same like GitHub, but it's installed on your server. So, and you are completely independent from another server.
And it's free.
Yes, it's free. Bitbucket is just another alternative. It's also free, but it's another service. It cannot be installed on your server, as I know. But maybe there is a paid solution, does not matter. The best option is GitLab, I guess, for start, because we are talking about new club. Communication. So that's very important, because when you work on specification, more questions will follow. Science, you cannot be well educated in any subject. I mean, you can be a good marketer or a good team manager, but you cannot be very good programmer, and there are some special details you need to talk about. And of course, before submitting, opening new tickets, new tasks, you must to talk about some subjects with your colleagues. And the best way is to use online messaging chat. There are a lot of different messengers. I think it does not matter to mention any kind of names. It's on your choice. Anyway, it's important. Just to avoid voice chat, since some technical information should be stored, because when you have a talk, a real voice talk, you can forget about some important details. So text chat could keep everything, and that's important. As well as so-called discussion board, I mean forum or maybe something like that, with detailed discussion, because chat, when you are using chat, there are a lot of different questions to be discussed, and you can also lose the right information, and it's hard to find the proper discussion. But when you are using forum or things like that, the closed infrastructure, you can separate every task, every discussion on threads, I mean different discussions. You can keep different discussions and return to it in every time. Well, part 3, team building. Moment. I'm not worrying, it's just everything is fine. Well, what is a teamwork? Of course, to start work with your colleagues, you should understand the basic processes which should be done. First of all, you must motivate your co-workers to find a team, to getting them involved to work with you. And of course, it depends from your communication skills. If you're a friendly person, that's okay. But anyway, there are some rules which should be followed by you because it's not kind of how to say friendship. I mean, everyone should keep on responsibility for what they are doing, and it's part of teamwork because you cannot work for another person, and of course everyone should do own tasks. Anyway, of course, if some things went wrong, you can help your colleague to solve the problem. That's normally, of course. But basically, of course, teamwork means people will try to cooperate, and of course you should attract all required persons to work with. Science, it's very important. Methods of management, vertical or horizontal. So it's up on you. I mean, you can be a boss to control absolutely everything, and do not provide freedom of actions to your colleagues. So I just considering different types of management. And of course they will do everything you ask them, but there is lack of motivation for them to work with you without money. Since they just do their job, your colleagues and co-workers. And it's okay in some cases, but as I suppose the most outstanding and significant type of management is horizontal. It's the principle of round table. What does it mean? Every person who's involved in the process have own opinion, and since you are working with professionals, the opinion of another person is very important. Since you cannot, as I said before, it's impossible to be well educated in any kind of subjects, and maybe some persons will help you to find solution. So, of course, it's much more comfortable for everyone to be how to say, to have the same permissions, to have the same responsibility. That's important because it's forming the positive background of your team, and it's even can be a motivation for persons without money. Science people feel they are part of interesting project, and they can contribute good ideas which will be not only considered but even to be implemented. That's important. And as for motivation, it's also out of my session, but I must talk about it in a few words. I mean, the methods to keep your team work with you. There are several ways. First of the method is, of course, money. You must pay people time to time and give them bonuses. It depends on you and your budget, I mean money. So also you can attract your co-workers' attention, helping them to get more, how to say, to get more skills, because people also learning to work in a team, to communicate with persons. Just imagine, you found a single developer who has no experience to work in a team. Of course, it's useful for both sides, for him or her, and for you, since you're working together and it's important. Also you must think about kind of non-paid bonuses. It seems like if you're living in the same city, you can just visit different places and keep, how to say, keep your team together with you and be more than just co-workers, maybe kind of close friends or not family, but a little bit family maybe. It depends on you. I mean, people want to like to work with you and like to work with your project. That's important. The team spirit. Well, it's continue of previous conversation. It means you must to form the positive background and pay attention to each team member. Well, you should show persons that their contribution is very, very important because we are talking mostly about kind of startups. It's not just a typical job when people are not too highly motivated. And it's up on you because you should care about such moments. Since if people lack attention, if people lack interest, so they will just finish work with you, and it's not good for you for startup, for the project. And of course, to avoid such situations, you also must you must provide more permissions for your team. I mean, if someone have initiative, some ideas, you must create all abilities, all possibilities for such person to express ideas. People should feel themselves getting involved in the project and see the result of their job. Since, I mean, you should not be a strict boss because for you as for team leader, for team manager, the result is your goal. And sometimes you also can bring your ideas to your colleagues and say, hey, it's as you said, it's your idea, but it was your idea, but bring some ideas to another people. Let them feel their contribution. That's important, because for you, the result is above all. Working processes. Well, that's always nice. The environment is already done. You already have a team. You already prepared the specifications, and now it's time to work on extensions development. Well, first of all, when you already released the first beta version or maybe first stable version of your product, you need to make beta testing before official release. So, and your team will help you with that, but mostly it's of course part of your job. Since we are talking about small business, and you cannot attract an additional person like a beta tester to do this work. So it's on it's your headache. Well, but the team can help you with that, of course, since the more persons will be involved in the process, the more bugs will be found, or no bugs. It's also possible, of course. Well, and as concerning end users, as I said, you also can ask your colleagues out of your team, persons you are in contact with, and ask them just to try your product, to test it, to use it, and the feedback, it's very important to get reaction of the closed community. Well, and of course, if we are talking about middle team, you can delegate processes to different subdivisions. For instance, you are a boss, your company became bigger, so you are unable to control everything personally because you have another projects, you have lack of time, things like that. So you can create groups of persons who have responsibility to do such kind of activity, like, for instance, management subdivision, programmers, designers, things like that. And you must be, not must be, it's ideal. It's ideal. I mean, it's very nice if you can delegate some responsibility to another persons, and just as for you, you can just control and solve the global problems, global issues. So, because if you will personally try to dig in the problems, to pay your attention to every not significant problem, you probably will be very, very busy person. And as for you, it's not comfortable, because you will have no enough money to work on, you will have no enough time to work on another projects. So that's important to delegate processes to each person or each subdivision. But it came with time, because when you just been started, you must to understand how to work with each person. But when you are already working together during some period of time, it's not a problem, because you can trust to persons. You can trust and see the progress, because it's also their interest. They feel interest of good result. Well, and of course, during this beta testing and during work, some tasks must be updated. You know, for instance, you had some kind of idea, but when you're working on it, new technology just been appeared, and you decided to replace some kind of script, for instance, and it should be under discussion. So it's kind of, for instance, I don't know, you are working on creating a gallery, but new script appearing, it looks much more effective, much more attractive. Of course, you must replace the library. So it's just a simple example. Maybe your programmer will bring you more ideas, because he just know how to release it much more effectively. So specification and tasks should be updated. Part 5, compiling the release. Well, the product is already almost done, but to meet the old standards, first of all, you of course must control the quality of a product, the code, maybe to ask the third-party person to make a review of the code of the product. Since I'm not talking about front-end result, it's what you can see, and it's what every user can see, but I'm talking about back-end side of your product. It should be the license information, the security, it's all should be done, should be prepared. I mean, you must make a beta testing to avoid security issues in your extension. That's important. And of course, your product should be corresponds to modern standards. I mean, to be cross-browsing, things like that, and to be compatible with another third-party extensions. For instance, your programmer can include jQuery, but if you are using another extension on your Joomla website, there will be several jQueries to be included. That's bad. So it depends on the quality of your product. You should include jQuery optionally, or even not to include. It depends on Joomla version. It's just a raw example what I'm talking about. So the product should be friendly for developers, for third-party developers too. So You also must think about MVC model to let other users to create templates for your extension, for instance. Also, products should be available to be translated at any language. And of course, the code, you should create a separated INI file with strings which can be translated in any language. I mean, some programmers just don't think about that and insert strings, insert words inside of the code. That's bad way. So, and of course you should think about that. And as for clean code, of course, as being a team manager, and if you are not a programmer, it's hard to determine the quality of code, but it depends of your cooperation with another community, with another co-workers and colleagues. They will examine the product and give you a feedback about the quality. And don't be afraid to create a bad product. I mean, if you're being a perfectionist, you always will be not satisfied with the result. If you are such kind of person, of course. Well, but you must do everything what you can to avoid such mistakes and create high quality products. And the feedback of other users will help you. You must just to start and improve your product with time. So the more testimonials you will get, the better your product will be. Don't be afraid to be getting criticized. So it's just people help you to improve your product. So that's important. And product page. By the way, when everything is done, everything is tested, everything is fine, and you think it's time to publish the extension, some kind of work should be done, and it will require a lot of time for you, because you should think how people will, you should care how visitors and your potential buyers will get the information. You should create a good description of a product, making people, encouraging them to purchase. So the description should be clean and not too big, because it's kind of psychology. People surfing over the internet and they seeking the required information, and you must think about the content and just to take visitors' attention on the most significant features. And soon below you of course can describe all features in details, and the product page is very important part. Since you can create kind of how it's called, the single page with different animations to attract people attention, and of course to show your task to maximally show abilities and features of your product, and it should look professional. Since if your product is very professional but website is out of date, for instance, you have created your website 5 years ago, it looks not attractive toward modern way. Well, so you should care about that. And of course, it's not enough just to prepare a good description. Also, you must think about images, about screenshots. It's not kind of you just click it on print page, create screenshot. It's not enough. Maybe you must to buy special packages to display some screenshots. I mean, things like I make how to say it in English. The designer must to work on your screenshots to create it much more attractive for end user, because what people see, it's important. And believe me, it will take too much time for you to finish the product page. Well, and of course you can ask third-party persons to help you with that. For instance, if your product is very specific and you don't have your own designer, you can use facilities, services of freelancers, or just buy some stuff on markets. The design, that's important. As well as there are some people who can write description for you, also freelancers, because it depends on the psychology, how to attract the attention. Because you can be a good developer, a good team manager, but it's very important to show the proper information, as I said before. Sorry for repeating, but I mean, it's very important part of your business. Well, it's not okay. Also you need to create documentation, tutorials and video lessons, because when people visiting your website, they just been examining demonstration polygon, they examining product page. That's very nice, but they already purchased your product, and of course you should care about client support. So create a good, well documented information, to create a good documentation. Also record videos, because people are lazy, and when you show all features, they just click and start video, and they see what they will get. That's important. Well, as well as changelog. Don't forget about that. And final steps. I'm almost finished. Well, the product is finished, and at your website you must create a category for next supporting your product, and you must set up permissions. For instance, if you want to separate, it depends on your subscription plans, depends on your policy. For instance, if you just want to sell products separated, if you want to sell your products separately, you must to think about permissions and provide support just for this for one extension. Well, also you must submit your product on your website and think about permissions too, because the client must download the product they just been purchased. And of course, the final step, just create annonces in social media channels. So that's all. You already created the colossal work, but everything is just into the beginning, since the marketing is everything for you. The product is already done, but for you it's just only the beginning. So my name is Eugene. Thank you for visiting and for listening to me here.